Hey guys, Connor here. I'm back, finally, after 5 months of no videos, no posting, nothing. This time, I'm thinking we try something else. We've done a lot of videos on this channel in the past, 55 if I'm going to be specific, and 99% of them are about Halo. Halo's fine, but I think it's time we talked about something else. First off, enough Connor. For those of you who don't already know, I'm Jacob. I'm not actually Connor. I'm the guy who tries to focus on all the non-Halo stuff. With that being said, it's becoming increasingly clear that people on YouTube really want to see some more CIPP stuff. So hey, here we have it. The top 10 features of CIPP by me, Jacob. Okay, so I'm going to start with number 10. That way you get number 1 at the end. It's the best feature, and you feel like you worked for it. Here it is then, number 10. My first feature. It's a bit of a mix, kind of 2-in-1. Not just 10, it's kind of 10.5 as well. We've got kind of the CIPP platform, and its key features are central user management and multi-tenant management. So obviously, if you've ever used CIPP before, you can select multiple tenants. You can select all tenants, you could select one tenant, you could select multiple. This is just the sort of filter at the top, but you'll see that you can do other different types of selection a bit further as we go through the features. This initial selection will give the overall tenant set, and obviously we're just sat on the dashboard at the minute. So central user management specifically. So if I go into identity management, administration, users, I can see all of the users for the specified domain I have filtered in the top left. With these users, I can then choose to edit or view the user, similarly in the same page. From the users page, I could add a new user, I could bulk add new users, or I could invite a guest, similar to what you could achieve logged into this client's Microsoft portals by default or the partner center. What the benefit of CIPP is, if I was to click the 3 dots and click view user, I can see a bunch of information about this user, again, similarly to the portal, but with a bit more detail. I think it looks quite a bit better. It also gives you sort of easier access to things like groups. In the customer's portal, you would have to load the groups on the blade, wait for that to display, and then view the groups. It's easier displayed on the user in CIPP, all of the groups that they have access to. The CIPP UI provides you some extra features as well. Obviously, you've got edit user, exchange settings, compromise remediation, conditional access. Exchange settings is really helpful, shows you some additional settings that are applied to that user's specific mailbox, for example, whilst the other two are specific to those features. These aren't the only additional features that CIPP provides. I can swap back to the users and view them as a group. Whilst saying that, I can select all tenants. It will load the data. So with all tenants selected, you can see that this report or this user data has pulled from all of the tenants selected. So obviously, depending on how many tenants you have, this could take quite a while to load, but it is very helpful in the end. So I could search, for example, my name, and you can see that it's pulled Connor as well, ironically, but it's pulled a TRNCN, another TRNCN, some Renata accounts, all in one page without me having to individually check each individual tenant. It's just pulled it for me. So this becomes really helpful if you're working with a few different tenants and you want to view data as a whole, or using my example, actually search for that. And similarly to users, the same thing applies to tenants. So if I was to hit tenant administration, administration again, and tenants, I can view the tenants that are configured in my CIPP portal. And following on from my example, if I switch this back to, say, Contoso, I go to my dashboard, I can search for users in any tenant by UPN or display name. So let's say I'm looking for that pesky Kelvin. If I search his name up, you can see that it populates Kelvin. So if I say, I was looking for him, he's under TRNCN, didn't realize that. I'll click view user, and it will take me straight to that page for Kelvin. And now you can see Kelvin, the user that you were looking for, across that specific tenant. You'll notice that it's changed the filtered domain to TRNCN. And that was all done from the dashboard as Contoso. So again, it's searched any tenant by UPN or display name. It's pulled that as TRNCN. I've hit view user and it's loaded it on that account. Pretty cool. Okay, so that one's out of the way. You probably all knew that already. If you're using CIPP, you've probably delved into users and different tenants. It's pretty straightforward, but I wanted to throw it out there for people who didn't already know that, or they've only just got CIPP and that's what they're trying to understand now. My second one is for those who probably don't already know this. It could be one where I'll catch you out and you didn't realize that was possible. But that being said, number 9 now is if we go to tenant administration, tenants again, and this little groups tab. What this is, as it says, tenant groups. So I've already got one in here called demo tenants, which I've created. So what the purpose of this is to create effectively a custom group in CIPP. It's not synced to your tenants or anything like that, but it contains the tenants that you've onboarded into your CIPP platform in its own little group. So in this example, I've got a demo tenants group with TRNCN and the M365X Contoso tenant. This allows me to use that group as a selection in something like a standard or a scheduler, where I won't need to manually select those groups. I know I can just select my demo tenants and they will be the ones that are applied to when those schedules or the standards run. So if I wanted to create a tenant group, I'm going to hit add tenant group. I can give it a name. So YouTube tenants, let's say, contains my YouTube clients. And then I can select, say, JDev and Contoso. And those two are going to be included in this group. I'll hit submit and you can see that that YouTube tenants group is saved. If I go back, I can see now that I've got YouTube tenants and demo tenants. So the members will be those two, and this one is going to be different. So they are two separate standalone groups that I can then use in other parts of the UI. Really helpful, I think. Let me know what you think. So number 8 this time, again, it's a feature that's quite obvious, but I don't think many people use it. I've started using it quite a bit myself, and I think that you could benefit from it. So you can see in the top right here, you've got this little button. This is the bookmarks. If I click on that, it's going to show me all my bookmarks. And the way you set bookmarks is by effectively hovering over any of the options in the blade on the left. You can see the little button again, and you can see that for tenants, I already have this selected. So if I hit my bookmarks button and I click on tenants, it's going to take me to the tenants page. If I click on my bookmarks button and I hit integrations, it's going to take me to the integrations page. Pretty straightforward, but pretty underrated in my opinion. It's really, really good to switch between menus, especially given the times when you're looking for something specific and you can't quite remember which menu it's hidden under, because it can be like that sometimes. It's really good to just jump straight there. Okay, we're pushing through these. So number 7 now is the message viewer. Again, a bit of an underrated one. Some people may think it's a bit pointless. Some people may not even realize it's there. Let's jump there to message viewer. I'm going to use my bookmarks again. Effectively, this is it. This is the CIPP version of the message viewer, which is effectively a workaround to having to upload email files to your Outlook or something to view content. I know that sometimes when doing support, you may need to view a .eml file. And if you've done it before, it's not always that easy. This makes it a lot easier for you. So it's pretty straightforward. All you do is drag a file straight on, drop it, and look at it load. So you can see that this email was from 12 years ago, and it's pretty straightforward. Hi, how was your day? You can see that there's a test.html file. If you click on that, you can download it or you can view it, and that's going to show you the HTML content. I can also view the headers. It's going to show me all of the header information as well as the source. So this will show you effectively the full email source. If I was to drag one in that's got attachments on it, you can see as well, we've got a document.pdf and a test.csv, and I can download those into that file and open them. You can see that that's got all of the content in it. So this viewer saves you a lot of time. I think it's really helpful myself. So number 6 now, another really underused option that I see when I work with clients is the partner webhooks. So if I was to hit my bookmarks again, go to application settings, and then partner webhooks tab, you can see the partner webhooks that I have created. So there's obviously the test-created, which is created when I test a webhook. That's going to load out, complete, and it would have added it there if I hadn't already done it. The granular admin relationship approved one is a really good use case for when you send out a GDAP relationship to a customer, they accept it. This is going to automatically enable tenant onboarding for you, as you can see in the description up here. If you haven't already, I'd suggest switching this one on. It's going to save you so much time. So number
5.
now, CIPP's been getting really, really big, and the bigger it gets, the more people want to get involved. You can see down the bottom, and you've probably seen throughout the video, that this is switching. This application is sponsored by Roost, Ninja One, Huntress, Augment, Ride of Boom, and with all these different sponsors, they come with sort of added bonuses at times. So some of these different sponsors have their own CIPP integration built in. If we go to CIPP, integrations, you can see a list of the integrations that exist. So top left, you've got CIPP, which is the CIPP API. So that's a whole nother video that we'd want to delve into. But here you can create an API application for your CIPP and send requests, which it will process on your behalf. And each of these integrations are pretty straightforward and simple to set up. So as an example, if I was to click on the Hoodoo integration, we've already pre-configured this, but just as an example, you can see the integration's enabled. I've chosen to enable some of these different options. And if I hit to tenant mapping, I can see I've got a couple of tenants mapped already. If I wanted to, I can add another tenant, i.e. Contoso, select the company that they're related to, and add that mapping. Once I hit submit, it would save that mapping, and then the integration, custom asset layouts, and tenant information could sync across for that tenant as well. If I head to the field mapping, I can see the Halo asset layouts and what they're going to map to for 365. So example, Microsoft 365 users mapped to people and devices mapped to workstations. Again, you can change that. You can have different options. You could choose to not synchronize them, but in my case, they're pre-configured. Like I said previously, you can hit submit, and that will save the Hoodoo integration settings there for you. All the other integrations are somewhat self-explanatory. You click into them, apply the authentication method that they use, save the configuration, and you're good to go. If you're ever unclear, they typically have a knowledge base article or something along the lines linked at the top, which will show you sort of what you need to do there. So number 4 then, conditional access. So if I go to tenant administration, conditional access, and then CA vacation mode, which is the one I really want to show you, you can set a vacation schedule. So obviously these are the ones that are already applied or removed, but we'll test a new one. So let's add a vacation schedule. You know what? I'm going to change it to partner tenant because I've decided I am going away. If I find my email address and I find the block outside UK conditional access, that sounds good. Let's go away for the weekend. If I set this from today's date at, say, 5 o'clock when I finish, and let's just end this at 5 o'clock. So 5 to 5, Friday to Sunday. I'll hit submit there, and you can see successfully added vacation mode schedule. So if I go back now, and we can see this is planned. So scheduled time in 2 days, we're going to remove that exclusion from the policy, and in 31 minutes, we're going to add that exclusion to the policy. So it's a quick and easy way to apply a vacation mode for a user of a different tenant, or your own tenant if you have that enabled, without actually having to manually sign into a portal and do it that way. As a bonus, another really good one for conditional access that CIPP allows are CA templates. So you can see there's a bunch of templates in here, of which these 3 are the sort of default built-in ones that come with CIPP, and the rest of them I've imported via the tools, template library, and a community repository, which I believe was the conditional access baseline. So that's going to give me a bunch more of the CA templates that we have there. So effectively, I've selected conditional access baseline, the repository it comes from, which there's only one option in this case, and I've created the conditional access templates. Hit submit, and that will schedule it for you. So now I have all these additional CA templates. And obviously, I'd want to check that repository to see what those templates do and why I would want to apply them. But given the case that I want to, I could go to CA policies and I could hit deploy conditional access policy. Select the tenant I want to use. In this case, I'll use Contoso as our demo tenant. I'll hit next step, and from here I can choose one of the templates to apply. So obviously there's all these additional templates, and let's say I want to do CA 101. So I could view the policy details, which give me a bit more information on what it's doing, as well as these radio buttons, which give me a few more options if I so choose. So number 3 is a big one. So I'm going to give you kind of 2-in-1 again. First off, by showing you a little secret. So if you click on your user in the top right hand corner, hit preferences. So this page gives me a lot of default settings that I can configure. So when using the offboarding wizard, I can set my default settings. So I want it to always convert to a shared mailbox, and I always want them to be removed from all groups and hidden from the global address list and deleted. I can set my default page size. So you saw previously I was using 25. If I set this to 250, the next time I go onto a page with a big table with a lot of details, it's going to show me 250 rows rather than just the 25 that it uses by default. So if I go to the actions on the right hand side, I have the option of all users or current user. So I just want to do it to myself. So I'll hit current user and then I'll hit save changes, let that load, settings saved successfully. So given that the default settings apply to the offboarding wizard, let's have a look at that too. So if I hit my bookmarks and go to offboarding wizard or via identity administration offboarding wizard, you'll see the wizard. I then have the option to select a tenant. In this case, again, we'll go with Contoso. I'll hit next step, select a user. So that Alex Wilbur's really been getting on my nerves, so I'm going to get rid of him. I've decided he's fired. Let's hit next step and we can configure our offboarding settings. So in this case, I'll convert him to a shared mailbox so that I can find out if anyone's still trying to email him after he's gone. I'll hide him from the global address list because I don't want anyone internal to still email him, think that he's still around when he isn't, as well as disable sign-in. I don't want him going in after he should. In that case, I'll reset the password as well. We can set his emails to be forwarded. So in this case, let's forward them to Adele. We'll give Adele full access to his mailbox as well. We're going to auto map it so she doesn't have to do anything, and we're going to give her OneDrive access as well. And you know what? I'm not going to fire him right now. I'm going to do it when he least expects on a Saturday morning at 5 a.m. That way he can't say anything to me. He'll be gone by the time I come back to work on Monday. So there's not going to be anyone monitoring this because we're scheduling it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to know if it succeeded. So CIPP gives you a few different options here. I can send the results to a webhook, an email, or a PSA. In this case, I don't have my PSA configured as an integration. I do have an email address, but I don't have a webhook. So I'm going to set email as my results. If I hit next step, it's going to show me all of the different settings that I've applied. Post execution is going to show me that I have email selected as well, and I'll hit submit. So it's successfully added the task. If you haven't already, go to CIPP application settings and then the notifications tab, and then you can configure an email address, webhook URL, all those different options here. That will be the email address or the webhook URL that the notification is sent to after it's been completed. So number 2, nearly there. We've already touched on this one a bit, but if I go to tools and then scheduler, and once you're here you can see a whole list of scheduled tasks that exist. You can see that our offboarding for Alex Wilbur is configured here, and it's scheduled to apply in 12 hours. So pretty straightforward what the scheduler does. It schedules things for you. It saves you all that time of having to manually sign into a portal, configure something for someone, or stay back late on a Friday, or come in early on a Monday because a client specifically needs something done at this time. If it's available in the add job options, you can schedule it. You can schedule many different things like removing the CA, the Graph Explorer, the CIPP backup. There's so many different options. It's so underrated how amazing this is. So let's just add a job. And we can see that this is a bit more of a specific scheduler. So we're not using any of the built-in tools or options on the UI. We're configuring our own job. So if I select a tenant here, I can go for Contoso again, and it's got a whole list of different commands that I want to use. So I'm not going to bother with this now because there's too many options to pick from, but you can see that these are all different PowerShell commands that were built. They're constantly being built, and they exist in the back end for you to use when you choose. I could set a start date, and I could also set the recurrence. So if I wanted this to apply every 7 days, it would. Once I'm happy with that, I'll hit add schedule. It's going to add that to the list of scheduled tasks here for me to monitor in the future. So we're down to number 1. This is it. This is what I think is CIPP's number 1 feature. If I go to my bookmarks again, I can scroll down and I can hit standards, which again, for those of you who don't know, tenant administration, standards, and then standards again, we've got this UI. And this is going to show me all of my standard templates that are applied, who they're applied to, who they're excluded from, when they were last updated, and whether or not they're sort of automatic or run manually. So you can see these 2 crosses, they're automatic, they'll run for me. And this makes use of the scheduler as well. It's all integrated together. So of my standard templates that are applied, you can see I've got the CIPP recommended standards, which is built in, comes with the CIPP application. I've got the Halo PSA Microsoft Teams app deployment, which is a Halo Teams app we've got, and we don't want to have to deploy that manually to customer tenants. So we've set a standard that applies to all tenants, and it's going to deploy that app for us. And same goes for the default emails. So realistically, we could probably combine these together, but they were created sort of different times and update at different times. So for now, they're going to apply as they are. If I hit the Halo PSA Microsoft Teams app deployment and click Edit Template, I can view the standards that are applied to it. In this case, it's just one Entra AAD standard. If I hit the drop down, it's going to show me some more information about it. In this case, we're remediating, and we're remediating this application ID, which means this application ID, which is within our partner tenant, is going to be deployed to all included tenants, in this case, all tenants. It's going to exclude no tenants, and it's going to run on a schedule. So in theory, all tenants that are within our CIPP portal are going to have this application deployed to them, which saves us a lot of time using things like this because we don't need to manually go and do that now. If I go back again, I can go to default emails, I can hit edit template, and I can see that this default email standard is setting the contact emails to support@renata.co.uk for all tenants included in this. Let's say I don't want to include my demo tenants in this contact emails standard. I can go to excluded tenants, click the drop down, and I can see that my group that we've applied previously for demo tenants is there. I can select that, and I know that this demo tenants group includes all of my demo tenants. If I then hit save template, confirm that, it's going to save that my demo tenants are now excluded from that template. If I wanted to create a new template, I can hit add template, give it a name. I'll give it a name of name. I'm not going to give it a description, and I'm going to choose my YouTube tenants as the group of tenants that are included in this. So not all tenants, not a partner tenant or exclusive tenants, or a multi-select of multi-tenants, which I'm effectively doing anyway through my group, and then I'm going to choose to add a standard to the template. So you can add as many tenants as you want. As you can see, there is a lot of tenants. This is going to scroll on for quite a while. You can filter on them by keywords. So if I said emails, for example, you're going to see disallow emails to be sent and the set mailbox, and that's because I think the contact emails is slightly different. So that's likely searching in the description for the word email there. But either way, I can add this, add this, add this, add this. You'll see that you've got impact of high impact, when this was last added, if it's recommended by CIPP or something like the sys controls, and any tags that are related to it. If I then close this, you can see that they are added in their own individual groups to the template. And if I hit the drop down on each of them, I can choose whether I want to report, alert, or remediate. And some cases, there's additional options, i.e. include user mailboxes. Mail tips is a good one as well. I can remediate that, which will deploy it to any of the included tenants I've selected here. Again, once I'm happy with all this, I can hit save template, and that's going to save the template to run every 3 hours in our template library. If I go back again, I'll see that this template called name is now applied as an option just now. Okay, so those are my top 10 features of CIPP. I've got a couple of bonus ones for you, which I'll quickly whiz through. If I go to CIPP application settings, backup, I can hit manage backups, and I can see any configured backups that I have. By default, you have nothing in there. So if I were you, once you've got some stuff configured, I'd hit run backup. It'll save a copy of your sort of CIPP instance, any of the key features in there for you, just as an additional sort of safe point if anything were to go wrong. And just sort of a last minute sort of note, the CIPP project is open source. It uses GitHub, that's where everything's maintained. That's where you sponsor, that's where you get access to a self-hosted instance or support from Kelvin and the team. And it's where you can add your own improvements. So if there's something that you really want to see on the CIPP UI, you could go ahead, pull up VS Code, add that feature to the application, and send a pull request to Kelvin's repository. If he's happy with that, he can go ahead and add that as a feature to CIPP for you. Then it'll be something that you and the rest of the community can use. I'd suggest taking a look at that if that interests you, because you could be a great help to the community and the application itself. Now, I hope that at least some of these features have been new to you or helpful in some way, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. I've been Jacob and Connor. We've got a whole series of CIPP videos planned. This is just the first one. It's just to build a bit of hype around the platform and the series that's coming. So make sure you stay tuned. I'll be back. For now, I'm out.